Greetings and salutations, one and all. It is me, Robert Phoenix, and the Astro Weather cat. There she is. Let's look at how robust she is. She doesn't miss many meals, do you? No, you don't. It's the lovely Peaches, Miss Peachy. So funny. She has her morning routine. Her morning routine is breakfast, poop, and pets. That's it. That's your morning routine. If you don't get your morning routine, your day just doesn't go as well, does it? It's the trifecta. Anyway, how is everybody? How are you doing out there? The weather, the atmospheric weather is pretty interesting. We were on tornado watch last night, but apparently that didn't happen. We've had some volatility kind of going through the sort of southwest, Midwest area, panhandle. But let's just take a quick look at that. Let's go weather for, let's just do this. What do we got here? So today we've got a 60%, let's see, chance of rain, severe thunderstorm watch. Let's look at the national weather, shall we? What do we have here? Okay. Weather.com. It's not happening. Because it was, let's see what we got. National Weather Service. Let's try that. Here we go. Yeah. Let's see. The green area is a flood watch. So let's just do a quick look at that. We'll do a quick look at that. There we go. Of course, we'll have to re-rack this because that's normally what we have to do with the new version of Zoom or the old version, whatever it is. It isn't really working the way that we'd like it to work. Right there. Okay. So that's Janice. That's our goat mama right there. And this is where yours truly is. Right there. What is that? Like a severe thunderstorm. And for you folks in Louisiana and parts of Arkansas, you're going to get real wet. Real wet, looks like. And we got a flood watch in these areas. We got flood advisory right there. There we go. Look at that. The rest of you are pretty dry. The rest of America, we're getting your condensation. The concentration of condensation. That's what we've got. All right. We'll get into the other weather here soon. See, we're doing both weathers. Okay, let's see. We got a little roll call in his house. Let's see. We got Diane Evans. Boy, Diane, you are way too early. It is after midnight. That's right. But Michael's right there behind you. And then there's Barbara at 12:38. Charlie, 12:47. You know, and I know the position of planets are completely irrelevant. Or it's not true. That's not true. No, if they were completely irrelevant, I wouldn't be here. And it's because of the fact that I do this every single day, not just this, but with people every single day. And I got too much empirical data to suggest otherwise. Julie Sunshine 333, what's happening? Healing Heart Rosie. 302, having troubles falling back to sleep. All right, well, you check in. KK, California Contrarian to be Sue. Sue Leonard from Down Under. What's up, Sue? Janice Phillips, the aforementioned one. Warlanda. Hey, if you have not checked out the Scream, check out the Scream. You get about 20 minutes of really 25 minutes of just absolutely great content. The production values they're beautiful. Just great imagery. You got Warlanda's. When I say imagery, I'm talking about the images that they use to create for the background of the show and the banter between Warlanda and the kid and Warlanda's voice. If I was an agent, if I was Warlanda's agent, I'd hire her to do voiceover work. She has the best voice. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Discussion. Some increase in convection has recently been noted across the Texas Hill Country. That's right. Yeah. Right now, it's kind of slightly overcast, but we'll see how it goes. Who else do we have here? Desley Logum. Hey, Desley. Getting ready for bed in Australia. All right, we'll give you a little lullaby here. Hopefully get you up to the land and nod. Jackie Delorio. Misbehaving 2's with us. Let's see what else we have. Devin Dewar. It's getting some rain down in San Antone. Weird winds last night. Let's see. The weather patterns here are very strange. Like Devin doesn't live that far away from me, but the weather patterns are just weird. Like you could have very severe weather 15 miles away, and then where you are, nothing. I've seen this ever since I've been here. Very strange stuff. Let's see. Who else we have? Mary Grether. Hi, Mary. Janine's with us. Hi, Janine. Meow Meow Kitty Poop. Lena Winkler. Adidas. In Sydney. We love our Aussies and our Kiwis here. Let's see who else we have. Susan. Soul Traveler. The lovely and talented one. Dr. Jonas. Our guy Ryan's back. Hey, Ryan. Good to see you. T. Jordan in the house. Yes, you can become a member over there at Locals. Thank you, Ryan. The Green Knights, Astrology Soul Advisor. What's happening? GKP. Yes, hit that like and subscribe. One of these days we will reach 20,000. I'll be like this. Joan, have we got to 20,000 yet? Can you please check the website, Joan? I can't see very well these days. I know we'll get to 20,000 someday. Oh, okay, all right. Let's see. Josie John. My guy Steve is here. What's happening, Steve? Your Warriors are an amazing ball club. There we go. You know, did you ever see the movie The Warriors? Warriors come out to play. This version of the Warriors are like that version of the Warriors. So you look at them and you go, how are these guys still in the playoffs and still doing their thing and beating teams? I don't know. They have a very interesting kind of synastry. Very interesting synastry. You know, this is just a quick aside. They have this guy who plays for them. His name is Buddy Hield. And astrologically, Buddy's a Leo. If you've ever seen him, he's very Leo-esque. He's got kind of one, he's got his hair kind of I don't know what do you call it, braided off, but not tight, not super tight braids like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's a Virgo, and you can tell he's a Virgo. I mean, with Jimmy's, everything is in place, right? Buddy's a Leo, and he's got kind of bigger braids. And there was a period where he let the braids out, and he had he had this like massive Leo kind of wild fro. But he's from the Bahamas, and Buddy is not he's not the brightest guy in the world. I mean, you just tell. I mean, he's like, you know, he's I wouldn't call Buddy an intellectual, and yet he has the most amazing attitude. And Warrior fans have been slagging him all year. And one of the things that Buddy has is he has a really deep belief and faith in God, right? Like Buddy is a God guy, and he's always smiling, right? Buddy is never down. He is never down. And the last game against the Rockets, Buddy scored 33 points, magic 33. And he shot 80% from the free throw line, which is almost unheard of. Tied an NBA record for game sevens for the most three-pointers, 9. Then they asked Buddy kind of like what was going on, after game interview. And Buddy just comes right out and says, I just want to give all glory to God and Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And, I just thought about him all night and stayed locked in, and a big smile on his face. And I'm like, there is absolutely something to that relationship, right? There is absolutely something to that relationship. Whether you're cooking and you're hitting 80% of your threes, or you're having an off night, it doesn't matter. It's like it's the faith that carries you through the entirety of the experience. And it's just a great, in a world where everything is so absolutely and utterly cynical. There's a lot of cynicism in this world. And by the way, there's good reason to be cynical. You see somebody like Buddy Hield, and you're like, man, this guy's got his priorities straight, and there might just be a little something there. Might just be a little something there on the belief and faith tip. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because it's such a fascinating dynamic to witness with Buddy. All right. Who else? Yes, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. There you go, right there. Right. Queen Lisa's in the house. What's going on, Queen Lisa? Peaches is a juicy girl. Oh, that's right. Peaches doesn't miss many meals. I can tell you that. Mary at sea level 2. What's happening? 10 a.m. already. Atlantic, Canada. Basically noon. Well, you're almost there. Let's see. Green Nut, I'd like that routine. Yeah, right. Eat, poop, and pets. Who wouldn't like that routine? Yes, we're going to do 15 minutes of flame. The link is right there. Thank you, Ryan. We're going to be talking about Real ID. Sexy topic conversation. Green Eyed Crow's checking in from Utah. Hi, Green Eyed Crow. Yes, if you'd like a reading, right there. Right there. Thanks again, Ryan. Appreciate that. Surprised I caught this one, but I got a silver. So I'm inside. There you go. Right. Yes, that's right. Hit the like and notification bell. Thanks, Tom. We got Claire with us. Hi, Claire. Did I say Claire yet already? Oh, Claire, you get 2 Claires. 2 Claire. Privacy Anti-Scam. Guten Morgen. Andrea Garland. Hey, good to see you, Andrea. Let's see. Sandra D. Did I say hi to Lana? Hi, Lana. Lynette Jardine. Mad Maxine. Leanne Ott's in the house. Hi, Leanne. Great to see you. Melissa Urban. Hi, Melissa. Dead Wolf Resistance. 13. Not every path is chosen. Is headlong in the wind. Somebody needs to do a reality series on dead wolf resistance. Let's see. Katie Lane's here. Hey, Katie Beachborn. Been a while. Well, hey, glad to have you back. Carol Moore, Laura E, Scott Jersey. What's going on, Scott? Lisa Ann White, the law. She fought the law, and Lisa Ann White won. Harriet Bowie. Hey. I love to do that. I love doing that. Let's see. Who else do we have? Anybody else? Sandra Jack Shaw, SJS. Baston. Checking in. Baston. Look at that. Love hanging with Orlando in the AM. That's right. Orlando is good crake, as Steve Crimmy used to say. Probably still does. Let's see. Anybody else? We're at the edge of the storm here in Brady. Oh, Brady. Looked at a house one time in Brady. Brady is the exact center point of Texas for people who are not familiar. She has the perfect morning voice. I totally agree, right? Perfect morning. I totally agree with you with Orlando. Perfect morning voice. 100. Yes, Wi-Fi not good at all in Aussie. Happens last Monday too. We live in a world where everything is very fragile in a lot of ways, isn't it? Things can go south quickly. Neil Smith, my guy from Wisconsin, he's in. Speaking of Wisconsin, that's going to be our star of the day. We got one of Wisconsin's favorite own. Just played an awesome speech by George Lincoln Rockwell. There you go. Setting the record straight there, Dead Wolf. Philip Thompson. Hi, Philip. Naturally Mother Earth. Man, we got a good crew today. All right, why don't we jump into the weather? Let's do that. Let's get all weathered up. Let's get all leathered and weathered. All right, here we go. All right. Okay, we should be good to go. I just want to make sure, double check, little quality control, make sure I got the image up there. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. All right. So this is us today. Sun, 16 degrees. Taurus. We're over halfway through Taurus. Gemini knocking on the door, huh? 2025 is a bullet train, an absolute bullet train. We're 2 months away from being through the halfway point of the end of the calendar year. And of course, the halfway point astrologically is always the sign of Libra. So that's a ways off. But we have the moon in Virgo today. This is what we were talking about on Sunday night. Somebody said we have a bank holiday today on Monday. So they got to take Monday off anyway, which was a good timing. But today is one of those days where I think you can be very productive. It's a very, very productive day. We're on the final degree here of the, looks like the Mars-Sun square, not quite teed up. Mars and Pluto are still doing a tango in opposition. But that Sun-Mars square is kind of on the bit of the outlier, or, we're 10 degrees. I would say by tomorrow, let's see what's Mars, 641. Yeah, so Mars won't get to 7 until Thursday morning. And then the sun will be on the other side of that. So this is it. This is probably the last day of that Sun-Mars square. There's still some feistiness in the air, but not as much as the T-square, the aforementioned T-square that we started off with. So today is a productive day. Yes, indeed. The moon in Virgo is productive. If you're at home today, maybe I should take my own advice here. If you're at home today, today's a good day to clean your house, get your house in order. Because as the moon continues to move through Virgo, which it will, by the time we hit this afternoon, this evening, if you have been what's the word I'm looking for? A good worker bee, you'll be able to sit back at the end of the day and say, look at all the things that I've accomplished. Now, they may not be monumental, but in some ways they could be. If you are paying attention to details, you'll catch a few things and you go, wow, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I did this. I was being a very conscientious and aware follower of the astrological weather. I mean, there's not much else the moon is doing today. There's no squares. I mean, we have a sesquisquadrate. That's about it. Minor aspect, I believe. So, yeah, it's just the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon, the lazy Taurus sun, gets motivated and prodded by that naggy Virgo moon wife. Come on, get out your honeydew list, Mr. Sun. Let's get this done. But I don't think it's that bad. Things are they flow. Today's a good flow. So roll up your sleeves and do the dirty work. Today's a do the dirty work day. A little bit of resistance with that Sun Mars square, but not too much. All right. I'll do it. Hold on. Don't get your britches in a bunch. Don't get your britches in a bunch, woman. You know that there were generations that actually talked like that. At least they did in the movies. That's my representation of it. But I just don't think that the millennials or Gen Z will talk to their spouses like that. So yeah, and the moon is at the first decan of Virgo, so it's the one thing about the moon in Virgo, this is what I will say. Today. Make friends with your imperfections. Let your imperfections be your ally today. That's my last word on the moon in Virgo. Let your imperfections be your ally, and bless them. Bless your imperfections, and then get back to work. We saw the ongoing Jupiter-Saturn square that's happening. It's just the dance, right? It's just the ongoing dance. And when Saturn moves into, God, I am so feeling that Saturn. I gotta say, man, I'm so feeling that Saturn. It's opposing my sun. And it's like, oh God, here we go. Yeah, that's right. Got a Saturn-Sun opposition at the ripe young age of 64. Can you believe that? Yeah. The Saturn-Sun opposition happens. So the last time I had that was in 1997, 96, 97, right around there. And then 30 years before that, which would have been 16. So these Saturn-Sun oppositions they're interesting transits because they really kind of usher in transition points in our lives, right? And if you're lucky, maybe you get 4 of them. So the next Saturn-Sun opposition for me would be roughly 28, 29 years from now. So in the 90s, boy, you get that Saturn-Sun opposition in the 90s, you are really feeling a transition point, aren't you? Yeah. So we do have that because Saturn is kind of creeping into Aries, we talked about this last week. We have the trine, Saturn Mars trine, Neptune Mars trine, Venus Mars. So we have a lot of good trineage. We get the Venus Neptune conjunction still. This is really interesting. This is an interesting stellium because Venus is also technically conjunct Saturn. So it's an interesting time where you can be both idealistic and realistic about your relationships. Like you could come to, I would say, sober conclusions about relationships, but at the same time be forgiving. It's a very unique combination. There's a lot of healing in the air for relationships. Don't miss out on it. Do not squander the healing opportunity here. The realistic and idealistic kind of merge together to form one sort of unified blend of, I would say, acceptance, but not an acceptance of resignation. You know, it's like acceptance where the edges are rounded off slightly, because we all know, like, there's just certain things. Well, you got to accept it, and this is just how these things roll. But in other regards, you know, or other times, there's an acceptance that's, you know what, I can live with this. I can live with this. And that's kind of what the energy is like here. Venus, Neptune, Saturn. I can live with this. And even with Mars in Leo, it's got some, there's the word brio. It has some brio, some zest to it. What did Emeril Lagasse do? He would like hit something with garlic or some kind of spice. He would say boom, something like that. Boom. Is that what he did? Not quite a boom, but definitely hitting the trifecta with some spice. I like it. There's a lot, you know, there's a lot of unconditionality with that Venus Neptune conjunction, even with Saturn here, and being aware of the kind of the harsh limitations of life and just relationships in general. I think it's an interesting, very, very interesting stellium. Let's talk about Mercury here. So Mercury is kind of, what do we have? We got, it's not, that's the sesquisquadrate right there with with Mercury and the Moon, which is sesquisquadrates in terms of like the definition of a sesquisquadrate. One of the definitions I ran across one time was it feels a bit problematic, but it's not so problematic that it's making your life arduous or difficult. So the analogy for a sesquisquadrate is, let's say you have a small pebble in your shoe and you're walking and you can feel it, and it's a bit annoying, but it's not completely rendering or it's not keeping you from being able to walk, right? Like have you ever had that moment where for whatever reason you got a pair of boots on and somehow a little pebble got in your boot, and you're looking at your boot and you're going, can I live with walking with this pebble for a while? And because I really don't want to have to undo all the laces in this boot and take it off and then get that little pebble out of there and then lace it back up again. So you just kind of, you know, I can live. It's not terrible, but I can live with it, right? That is the sesquisquadrate. It's this kind of nagging little thing that comes up, but not to the point where just, you know, stops you in your tracks. The other connection with sesquisquadrates is sometimes it can relate to family issues, inherited family issues. So if you have a sesquisquadrate in your chart, and if you want to see what it looks like, is that the little square looking thing right there, right? That is a sesquisquadrate, and it relates to inherited family issues. So if you've got one of those little square looking things, you want to see what planets it's connecting to. And that is something that is generally connected to an inherited family trait or crisis. And it's what you're working on. So today, if we're looking at that Mercury and the Moon and the sesquisquadrates, don't be surprised if you get a phone call, a text, or an email from one of your offspring that might bring something up, and you'll think to yourself, why? But in their minds, it'll be something. It'll be the pebble in the shoe that has been working in their brains to eventually talk about, address whatever their causus belli is in the moment, right? So the other thing here too with this Mercury sesquisquadrate with the Moon, as it relates to your living space, it's also, if you're trying to be productive today, it's one of those things that maybe you just don't want to get to. Like you leave it for last on your list, but don't forget it. Like this is a don't forget it kind of aspect. You gotta stay connected with it, right? Don't slough it off just because it's manageable. Get the pebble out of your shoe. Get the pebble out of your shoe. Chiron, still there, 24 Aries. That's also part of the sesquisquadrate as well, isn't it? So that would also be people who have something to say, probably, again, family members. You know, when I was 13, one time you told me that I'm eating too many of those sugary yogurt pops. You know how that made me feel? That made me feel very self-conscious. Why couldn't you just let me eat those sugary yogurt pops? It tasted so good. Now every time I look at them in the store, I remember that moment. It triggers me. Oh, God bless the beasts and the children. All right, we got Vesta and Juno over there in Scorpio. It's like Juno's retrograde. It's going to go back into Sagittarius eventually. So the asteroids are dancing backwards. Pallas, on the other hand, steaming right ahead. 2211. Ooh, that's interesting. 2211 Aquarius. And we got a square happening here with Chiron and Pluto. And looks like the Mercury's on the outer edge of that square. That Mercury's going to come into square with Pluto very quickly because that Pluto's moving backwards. And with Mercury going into a Taurus, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be financial stuff. We're going to track that. We're going to track the Mercury-Pluto square that's on our radar, that's on our astrological Doppler. And we'll be paying attention to that over the next few days. All right, let's get into our True Hemp Science star of the day. Bringing the banner effect here. The Bruce banner. There we go. All right. So our True Hemp Science star of the day is none other than the great Orson Welles. Before we dive into the various charts, and I mean various, we got 3 charts today for Orson Welles. Not 1, not 2, but 3. True Hemp Science is your one-stop shop for all things CBD. There's your bottle of Solara, one of my favorites. And if you spend $100 or more over at True Hemp Science, type in 15MINS, you will get the glorious goodie bag. That's right, the glorious goodie bag. It's like an order within an order. And it's worth the price of admission. Let's put it that way. Spend $150 more, you get free shipping. There's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. And guess what else? You can make an appointment with them and talk to them about your CBD needs. They'll sit right down and they'll give you the 411 about it. TrueHempScience.com. All right, let's talk about Mr. Orson Welles. What an interesting character. I think Orson Welles is really one of the giants of the 20th century. And he's actually, when you read stories about people like, let's say Goethe. Goethe was a prodigy. Mozart was a prodigy. Orson Welles was a prodigy. Orson Welles, at the age of 10, and I shit you not, was lecturing at colleges. That's how bright he was. You know, if you're a believer in reincarnation, and I am a believer in reincarnation, I think we've all been here before, and we've been here after. Right? We have future selves as well as past selves. But Wells is one of these guys that comes in, he knows who he is. Right? He knows who he is. He has whatever faculties he brought in from some other lifetime, they're all pretty intact. So he is the definition of a Wunderkind. And let's just look at that ascendant in Gemini. Very sharp, communicative, inquisitive, and there's Saturn. Right there, 26 Gemini. Anytime you got Saturn on your ascendant, you grow up quickly. I can't tell you how many times I've seen charts with people who have Saturn on the ascendant, and they're, in many cases, parenting their parents or parenting their siblings. They usually enter the workforce fairly quickly. Like, this is the nature of Saturn on the ascendant. And of course, it's going to be colored by the sign, so it's Gemini. This is like an old soul. To me, Saturn on the ascendant is the incarnation of the old soul. And in Gemini, he's bringing in the gifts and the skills of communication and knowledge. And then he's got a Pluto conjunction, Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So he is going to make an impact on his environment, immediate environment, from a very early age. And we have Vesta conjunct Pluto, Vesta, of course, being the oldest of the asteroids. Orson Welles is an old soul. He's probably about, 12 years old right there? About 12? No, I'm just kidding. He's a little bit older than that, but not much. I'm telling you, not much. This guy takes the world by fucking storm. And I'll show you how he does it. Okay. But he's very, very advanced. And by the time he's 25 years old, he's directing Citizen fucking Kane. Wrap your head around that. Citizen Kane, which is generally considered the greatest American movie of all time. All right, let's get into particulars. Moon Uranus conjunction in the ninth house. So Wells has a very interesting relationship with foreign countries and spends a lot of time in his adult life in Europe. I think that over time, Wells considers himself more of a European than an American in many regards. He started off doing plays and drama when he was young. In fact, he starred in a play called, I believe it's called Das Juden, I believe. And it's a very, Das Juden is a very interesting play. You can actually, they made a movie version of it. It's in German with subtitles. I believe that's the name of it. Let me just go quickly here. Let me go back into the Wells bio. I'll look at him at age 3. Let's see. His house is still there. Orson Welles' house is still in Kenosha. Look at that. Let me just read this. Welles's father is the inventor of a bicycle lamp. So Welles's father, you can thank Welles's father for bicycle headlamps. But they lost their fortune and they moved to Chicago in 1919. Welles's mother was a concert pianist who studied with then pianist composer Leopold Godowsky. She played during lectures by Dudley Crafts Watson at the Art Institute of Chicago. Welles received piano and violin lessons arranged by his mother. The older Welles boy, Dickie, was institutionalized because he had learning difficulties. I'm trying to, let's see. Welles had a very interesting childhood. Cartoonist, actor, poet. Age 10. Let me just do this. I'm going to put this up here. This will give you an idea of the old soulism of Orson Welles. Let me just do this. Cartoonist, actor, poet, age 10. So here we go. When Welles was 15, his father died of a heart attack and kidney failure. Age 58, Welles had told his father that he refused to see him until he stopped drinking. Welles suffered lifelong guilt and despair. That's Saturn, right? He has to literally become the father with Saturn on the ascendant at an early age. Jude Suss. That is it. Jude Suss. That's the that is the play and the film. Very controversial. It's a very controversial. Jude Suss. You couldn't even get this play done today. Couldn't get it done. If you want to see the movie, it's on YouTube. It's actually pretty interesting, I have to say. All right, let's get back to Welles. Hold on. Where is he? Right here. Okay, so yeah, the death of the father, right? The death of the father, right there, Saturn, Pluto. Because the father had made a shit ton of money, lost his fortune. But he's very advanced. Like Welles is super advanced. And so this is his north, right? His true north is to do something big. Well, Citizen Kane is pretty big, right? That's the nature of the ninth house. Now, one of the things he's also known for, besides Citizen Kane and getting fat is he was one of the founders of the Mercury Theater. And the Mercury Theater was a radio play group. So back in the day, instead of TV, they had radio. And there were all these productions that they would do. And people were literally reading scripts live on the radio. And they had like people doing music, and they had people doing sound effects. And nobody could see it, right? Because it was radio. But that was, Wells gets in early on the radio game. And he was such a stickler for detail with a lot of the stuff that went along with it, that he would do things that hadn't been done before. So I'll give you an example. This is all very Aquarian, right? Like kind of breaking ground. They did a version of Dracula, and there was a scene where there's a scene where Dracula sticks a knife into somebody's heart. Right, it's kind of a big part of the radio play, and so they're trying to work this out before the play or before the broadcast, and Wells was trying to get the sound of the stake going through Dracula's heart right. So initially, what they did is they took a stake, literal stake, and they jammed it into a head of lettuce, and he was like, no, it doesn't sound right. So then they hollowed out the lettuce a little bit, and then they took the stake and they jammed it in there. And Wells is like, no, that doesn't work. So then Wells came up with an idea to take a watermelon. Remember, this thing is all mic'd up and everything. And when they did the radio play live, he took the stake and he drove it into the watermelon, and you could hear it like kind of have a thud and a bit of a gush. And apparently when he did it live on the radio, where they were doing Bram Stoker's Dracula, people lost their minds. Absolutely lost their minds. And to me, that is really the manifestation of Aquarius, like, sort of cutting edge. So even a lot of the film techniques for Citizen Kane were really cutting edge, right? So he's very creative. He's got Jupiter in Pisces, but ultimately this is what he becomes known for, is Jupiter, right? Like, he becomes very big, very, very big. And he's also known for what? Wine, Ernest and Julio Gallo. Now, money-wise, he has Neptune down here. Remember, his father was an alcoholic. And Neptune in the second house isn't always easy for money. I mean, Wells, always kind of went by in the skin of his teeth. And towards, the latter part of his life, he was helped out by a number of friends because he was borderline indigent. But he had a fast and loose relationship with money and resources in his life. He's got this Venus-Mars conjunction in the 11th house. And to me, this is really the kind of where the rubber hits the road. For Wells, it's fascinating. I mean, he's got Neptune below the horizon, Saturn, Pluto, but really Saturn's hugging the ascendant. So he's really much more out in the world, right? He doesn't have much of a personal life. He's married more than a few times. And he winds up actually having this kind of mystery grandchild at a certain point. There's a whole documentary about that. And if I showed you his grandchild, you would see that he looks just like him. Let me see, Mark McCarran, I believe his name is. Hold on. Mark McCarrow. If you haven't seen this, let me just show it to you. That's his grandson. Doesn't he look like him? Rita Hayworth was one of Orson Welles' longtime lovers. They had a hot on again, off again, on again relationship. And Rebecca Wells was one of Orson Welles' wives. And so, yeah, Prodigal Sons is a documentary about the grandchildren of Orson Welles. Very interesting. Very interesting. Let's get back to his chart. All right, so so he's cutting edge. He's ahead of his time. Venus, Mars. And this is a really interesting conjunction. Mars is ahead of Venus, so of course he's going to be a bit more on the masculine side of things. But there's also something very feminine and kind of refined about Wells. But it's this sextile, this ability for him to kind of lean into the future in a lot of ways that allows him to, I think, make his mark in the world. And he's a bit of a trailblazer, right? Got that MC 28 Aquarius, the total 12th house sun. Total 12th house sun. Mercury, Jupiter, sextile, big ideas, big thoughts, big brain. He's an archetype. Orson Welles is an archetype. He is one of those classic 12th house personas. Literally larger than life. Literally larger than life. All right, we don't have a lot of time left, so I wanted to bring in a couple of these other charts, which really give you a sense as to these moments of success in his life. So this is when he does the War of the Worlds on October 30th, 8 p.m. We got it right here, 1936. Was it 1938? 1938. He's 23 years old. 23 years old. He's basically leading the Mercury Theater Troupe, War of the Worlds. There's Jupiter right on his true node. It puts him on the map in a big, big way. Uranus-Sun conjunction. It is science fiction, right? It's about an alien invasion. Aquarius, in my estimation, rules science fiction. Science fiction, science fiction. Uranus in the 12th house. Saturn-Mars conjunction right there. So it's all outer planets hitting these major points in this chart. And the War of the Worlds has lived on, right? He takes what's interesting, a story by another Wells, H.G. Wells, hello, double Wells, Gemini, although spelled differently. There's an audio interview where Orson Welles is interviewing H.G. Wells. Don't get too excited. It's not a very good interview. It's basically Orson Welles slobbering over H.G. Wells and H.G. Wells not being very impressed by Orson Welles. So this is an interesting chart, right? This is like, here you go. Jupiter's right on that true node. Like this is where, if he had any doubt about what his purpose in life was, doubt no more. Okay. You got one more here. This is the opening for Citizen Kane. And again, we have a major aspect to the true node. With the War of the Worlds, it was Jupiter on the true node. With Citizen Kane, it's Mars. Mars. So both of these things that Orson Welles is known for have these very significant transits. And then over here in the 12th house, look at this. Saturn, Venus, Sun. Right. This is when the War of the Worlds debuts. Now, it goes into theaters in September, which is really odd, right? So there's April, May, June, July, August. Like there's 6 months before War of the Worlds actually goes, I'm sorry, Citizen Kane goes into circulation. This is the debut of it right here, May 1st, 1941. So how old is he here? 34. Is that right? He's 34. Let's see, hold on. 34. That's still young. That's still incredibly young. He's 34 and he's doing Citizen Kane. Huge. Saturn, Venus, Sun conjunction, Mars on the true node, right? Again, purpose. And this is an accelerator, absolute accelerator. So we can see where these major life events, like with War of the Worlds, Uranus on the Sun in the 12th house, Jupiter on the true node, Mars on the true node, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, lighten them up. It is literally Uranus, Jupiter on his Mercury. Hello, he's being recognized for his genius. Absolutely fascinating character. But what's also interesting here is Chiron conjuncting Neptune. And the downfall of Mr. Welles ultimately is Jupiter in his chart. Because once he does Citizen Kane, he can do anything he wants. He follows it up with the Magnificent Ambersons, which is considered another great movie. But then he begins to fall off a little bit. And he lives quite a long time. The guy's born in 1915, and he only directs like 17 movies over the course of his life. You would think that he'd be much more prolific than that, but he's not. And some of it has to do with the fact that he's this very erratic and eccentric character. And that's marked by the true node Moon-Uranus conjunction in the 9th house. He's not always very easy to work with. I mean, you look at somebody like William Friedkin, who gets a bit of a late start in life as a director. He directs as many movies as Orson Welles. And Welles started directing way before Billy Friedkin. So, interesting character. And one of the things that Welles said that's always stuck with me is the enemy of art is the lack of limitation. And he knows that because he was given tremendous budgets to do just about anything because people thought that he was such a great auteur or such a great director. There you go. True Hemp Science Star of the Day, Orson Welles. All right, we're out of here. Thanks for being here and appreciate your presence as always. Take care of yourselves. Treat each other well. God bless. Love you all. Robert Phoenix signing off. Bye for now.